first thing that we do is just measure out 1/2 cup of the coconut flour. Pop that in there. We're just going to mix all of the dry ingredients. Then 1/2 cup of the tapioca flour. Quite easy to remember. Once you've kind of got an idea, you've made these a few times, you can then gauge it. You can even experiment and maybe do a little bit more tapioca, a little bit less coconut flour. And then I'll also add on the website, there's an even more simple pancake variation, which is simply eggs, coconut flour, and some kind of alternative milk. Super easy to do. So I'm adding baking powder and bicarb of soda to this one, which is just a few more ingredients, but you can, like I said, make it super simple. So we've got that turning into 1 cup in total. Then you want to take 1 teaspoon of bicarb and then 1 teaspoon of baking soda. These, you might want to note, they are organic and they are also gluten-free, because quite often the baking powder does have some gluten in it, which again isn't great. So we're going to try and stick to these like whole organic ingredients that are as nourishing as possible. Now for the wet ingredients. Eggs, they're pretty key to a pancake. Again, go for your organic eggs as much as you possibly can. Now you want to crack in 4 of these. So there's 4 eggs in there, and I'm just going to whiz it up quickly. And then we just want to add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla essence. Chuck that in there. And then 1 cup of coconut milk. Now this actually, it is pretty important to measure this out, because if you have it too wet, it's going to be impossible to turn the pancake. And if you have it too dry and not enough of this coconut milk, then it will turn into a very sort of stodgy, dry, kind of heavy pancake. So we'll just start with 1 cup. Pour that in. Mix it up. And now you just want to add the dry ingredients whilst it's kind of going nice and slow into the wet. I'm just going to add a little bit more coconut milk. Okay. Now it's quite good just to wait a few moments, because the coconut flour does soak up a lot of the liquid. So you want the texture of this to be quite thick, but not too gloopy. So you can see it run around the bowl like a liquid, but it's got some form to it. So you just want to take some good teaspoon. Non-stick, this is interesting. I used to avoid all non-stick products because there was talk of it being really unhealthy, but actually since then I've changed my mind and I've had a few experts on it, and as long as the non-stick coating isn't scratched, then it's okay to use. This is actually an eco titanium pan, so it's much easier then, because especially with pancakes it's really important to make it non-sticky. Pour a bit of the batter in the middle of the pan. So that's kind of the texture that you're going for. I have a tendency to make them really big, and then it's just a little bit harder to flip, to turn. You're in there nice and warm. You'll notice if it's too thin, it won't travel around the pan. And then it'll be really hard to flip. Now this mixture is the basic. It's really simple. What you can do is you can add all sorts of things. You can add cacao powder, you can add blueberries, you can add desiccated coconut, all sorts of things. And then in terms of the toppings, the one thing that I'm advising primarily is to take lemons, freshly squeezed, and then add a little bit of stevia. Now, the other sweetener that you can use is xylitol, but stevia is great, especially with lemons, because there can be a bit of a bitterness, like an aftertaste to the stevia. But if you mix it with the lemons, then the lemon is quite a sharp taste, so you don't really experience the bitterness, and it's great to go on top of pancakes. And as I've spoken about before, lemon juice is fantastic, especially when we're looking at kind of a weight loss